Mercury retrograde is Mercury retrograding, y'all. I can't hear y'all. Mercury retrograde is Mercury retrograding, y'all. Boss Leo, I can't hear you. Okay. I can't hear you, ma'am. Let me see if I can do something about this world. And sound. I can hear everybody. World volume. Okay. Hey, y'all, bear with me. I'm in here trying to stream from the Metaverse. And make sure my microphone is on. I can hear you now. Can you hear me now? Hey, Boss Leo, can you hear me? You hear that kid? There's a kid that came in here. Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say that's one of your kids.
No.
I've been getting a lot of follows lately.
Oh.
I'm gonna add you back to a party and guess we can get started.
Oh.
There's one person that
Oh. Why you put me in the party? Because I seem to mess everything up.
Party, but channel it to everyone.
That messed everything up last time. I think we should leave it like this.
Okay, well, I can still hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear everybody. Girl, Mercury retrograde is Mercury retrograding. Today is the first day of Mercury retrograde. So technology problems, all that stuff like that. And I've been, oh my God. My internet was cut off for like 15 minutes. You broadcasting this to, this is broadcasting to.
Man, they seen all of this.
This
is why I do it privately. That's why I tell you, this is why I live stream privately.
So that you can edit it out. Yeah.
Exactly. This is why I do it privately. You never know what's going to happen. I'm going to see if I can invite some more people. If not, it's just going to be a conversation with you and I. Everyone doing a lot of stuff these days. I can't even get to my
Oh, and here come my dog starting up. Oh my gosh, y'all. Oh, good, good. I'm waving at the people I'm streaming at on my YouTube. Ah,
Okay,
they
so
can't
you
see
can
me. Yeah.
it's okay. They can see this. Still got different perspectives. Well, we just gonna get started with just us. We
Uh,
just brought in one person from fan base. Thanks for coming. Mommy. I'm gonna go on mute now. Sis, fan base. Reset the room.
All right.
So I was asking you if you knew about the oh, let me do a quick check. Moby, let me know if you can hear me. Now that I'm muting myself on Fanbase, can you hear me from your side? To unmute and mute, press the V button, the letter V on your keyboard, or you should be able to see it, or I'm on your mobile or your okay. Let's say that you can hear. All right, Jenny. Thanks for coming. We're about to get started, so go ahead and join my friend 40 plus over there. There you go.
I did not know my outfit was green. Or is that the light you're shining over here? Because
That's the
you're
light.
green too.
Yeah, I'm green. I had to figure out how to make it light without the yellow and stuff, so I'm still figuring that out.
It's a nice green though.
But
Yeah.
you're very bright. A lot of people can't see in my world, so I had to change the setting here. Okay. Um, I would ask you, do you have were you able to look at the questions or so, or would you like me to
Nah,
pull
we
them
can
up?
go. I'm good. Freestyle.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up the questions. Okay.
Is that another what do you call them?
Oh
Bot?
yeah, Meta Santa. Yeah, go to the.
You got two bots?
No, I only got one bot.
Oh, okay. Meta Santa's a real person.
Yeah.
Hi, Meta
So
Santa.
go over here. Go over there. Go like kind of behind the screen here. There you go. There you go. Stay right here. All right. So we're about to get ready to start the show. So just remember not to go on stage because we are live streaming. Okay. If you do go on stage, I would have to be a meanie and I have to remove you from the world, and I don't want to do that. You look like good people. All right. Because I do remove people with the quickness and I do block as well. All right, perfect. All right, I got my notes. Let me pull back up my notes here. This is like the best feature ever to be able to multitask with different applications. All right, where did you go?
I'm right here. I was showing them the sign over there.
Okay,
And then you know it's gonna be hard for me to get back on the chair.
perfect.
Once I get off the chair, it's a wrap. I have mobility sit problems.
Yeah, he's been holding up pretty good. Let me get Gizmo right in position. All right, that looked like a good position. We can go ahead and get started now. Oh my gosh, Gizmo. Perfect position. Oh my god, I want one woman show. All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
And the kids, yep. So I think I have myself on the squirrel. I said squirrel. Can't talk. I have my stuff on discovery mode, so people want to join in, they can join in off of me if they want to. Okay. Alrighty. Well, happy Monday. I'm Boss Leo IO, and we are doing another week of Mastermind Mondays here at the Diamond Resilience. We are at the presidential suite for all of my jewels out Just that she looks lovely right now.
Thank you.
I'm really excited. So, for those out there who don't know Aquarius Maximus, Aquarius Maximus is a distinguished American author, businesswoman, cryptocurrency expert, and educator. She is the founder and creator of WapCoin, get those coins, a decentralized cryptocurrency aimed at economically empowering Black people and Black-owned businesses. Her career began as a graphic artist, like me, developing websites for celebrities not like me. Then she transitioned into software engineering role, where she founded Safe to Meet, a peer-to-peer safety verification platform. Around this time, she also gained recognition as an astrologer, cardiologist, and consultant honored the name Aquarius Maximus, honored the name Aquarius Maximus.
Cardiologist.
I know I can say it right. On social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. You say cardiologist?
Cardiologist.
See, we're gonna blockchain and cryptocurrency began in 2016 when she identified digital currencies as a powerful tool for stimulating economic growth and achieving financial freedom within a Black community. This realization led to the creation of WAPcoin, focusing on closing the wealth and technology gap for the global African diaspora. Did I say that right?
Diaspora.
Diaspora. I'm a Aquarius
Tuppy.
Maximus has been featured in Glamour magazines, Women in Crypto, Bloomberg, Complex TV, CNBC, Mary Claire, Black Tippy, and Aussie.
Yeah.
She is like that girl in tech and crypto, Web3, and she's doing phenomenal things there. I'm quite sure you guys don't want to hear me keep struggling for another paragraph there. I'm excited to have you, Aquarius Maximus. I'm ready for a nice mastermind session. Are
Thank
you ready
you.
for a nice mastermind session?
I am. Thank you for having me, Boss Leo. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Thank you. I know. I really like how we were just able to click right away
Hmm.
when we first met through Blacks in Technology, just our love for the metaverse, and then just me getting a chance to learn a lot about you and the work you do. Like it's so inspiring. And I'm like, dang, like how can I even be like 1/10 of that to just give you an idea into lunch? Like I'm still working on my one idea from like 3 years ago, right there. So I really admire you a lot,
Thank
and just
you.
all the things you do, and so I'm very grateful that we are close and that we have you here, a part of the Diamond Resilience here.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I
So
love.
let's start. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go
This is
ahead.
definitely
Go
good.
ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead right here. I'm about to get right into it.
No, I was saying I love
See,
being
this is why
here.
we do this privately.
Yeah. No, no, no. It's cool. Go ahead.
All right, say it one more time. Say you love being here, and then
I
say it.
love being here. And Boss Leo, you are like the dopest in the metaverse right now. You're really doing big things. So, I definitely I love your work. I love your worlds. And I can't wait to see what you do in the future. Because if it's this good now, I know like 2 years from now it's gonna be 100 times better. So I can't wait.
I appreciate that faith because I need that myself. It's funny. Absolutely. So we have to ask the number one question, right? Aquarius Maximus. So what was the origin of the name Aquarius Maximus?
Well, Facebook 2014. I decided I was using my real name, actually, I was using Web Diva because that's what people used to know me in the web world as Web Diva. They call me Diva and that type of thing. So 2014, Aquarius Maximus was born, and I would have to say it wasn't born out of the best circumstances, but that's how things in my life tend to go. Like out of I don't even know what to call it comes these great things, and that's really Aquarius anyway, actually. But so out of some stuff that was going on in my life, I decided to just randomly change my name to Aquarius Maximus, and it stuck. It stuck from 2014 on, and it is now my legal name.
Yeah, that's pretty big there, and then that's like one of the number one things. Like one of the first things in coming to the metaverse is that identity, establishing and owning that identity. And I like that you took that to the next level. Like that is my identity. That is me. Finding Aquarius Maximus and making that your name. That's pretty cool there. So one question I like to ask all my guests on the show, especially since we're in this new phase of the internet, this new technology, is a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you get started in the metaverse to the point that it ended up leading you finding, then it ended up bringing you to the blockchain crypto space and finding Walkaway?
Well, definitely, I think WAPcoin came first, and then the metaverse came. But I was one of those early adopters on Oculus, and I was up there trying to sell everybody on it. I'm like, oh, I want y'all all to come in the metaverse, and it's a hard sell, but because you got to actually let people try on your equipment, and then you try to, some people you even buy, you want to buy in them one or something like that. But I saw the vision back then. I tend to be ahead of things. Like I was ahead in crypto, talking about crypto to people, having to teach people the crypto. Then I was ahead in metaverse, talking about the metaverse and having to teach people about the metaverse. So, in these technology things, I tend to be like a lot of steps ahead, which can be a lonely journey, So, in cardiology, we kind of know them as pioneers. And that's what a pioneer, like a pioneer is real glorified now. You look at pioneers from the past, and you're like, oh, that person was a pioneer. And it's always great after the fact. But when they're in the middle of being a pioneer, it's a very lonely journey. Like you see the vision, you're like, oh my God, I see exactly where this is going to go. But trying to drag people along, like Harriet Tubman, it can be challenging. It can be very challenging because that's exactly what you want to do. You see something that's going to benefit people, but they don't quite see it yet. So sometimes you feel like, oh, am I crazy? Is there something wrong with me? And then all of a sudden this explosion happens, and everybody is kind of like mobbing you with questions and all of that because now something caught their interest. And I got mixed feelings about that too.
I mean, I think we all do, especially when it comes to our community. People that didn't believe in you, invested in you, and now they're like, I knew from the start that you
Yeah.
could probably make it. And it's always our people, unfortunately. It's like, I
Yeah.
need you to believe me. Even if you don't know what I'm talking about, just the little words of encouragement or something.
Yeah, and our community, we don't tend to look at the nerds the way, kind of like other communities do. So like we can be kind of like fascinating on one side, but on another side, it's like it's very challenging, like you say, getting the support for certain things and whatever. So you got to do a lot of what do you call it? Bootstrapping, you know, to kind of like do things on your own and get it to a point where people can experience it. And then when they can experience it, they're like, oh, we love it. But then you also know that tech is full of problems. So you bring people in to experience it, and they're not quite ready to deal with the problems that come along with it. You know what I mean? Like the obstacles and stuff like that. So that could be another difficult part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really important, especially in a space and where things are headed. We're still in the early phase, and I know being an entrepreneur, it's a lonely journey for sure. And I remember watching an Instagram video of a guy. He was saying that they were comparing entrepreneurship to prison because
Ooh,
you're isolated, you're
yeah,
alone. And that was the first time I heard that. I'm like, dang, like it feels like you're in prison, like you're isolated from the world, and we need people. And it's a tough journey at times when you believe you remaining resilient. You're sticking to this idea, to this belief, even when there's other people that are sometimes closer to you. It can be your wife, your husband, a
hmm,
best friend, a community, people that do not really support you in your journey, and it's hard.
it
Yeah,
is.
we talk a lot about that, and that's usually the point where people might give up.
It is. It is. I think that like when you're a geek, it's a little bit different. It's like you don't really give up. You just put stuff to the side and then you get back to it. You know what I mean? Like somebody can be building something out in the real world and they could put it to the side and just walk away. But it's like when I think when you're like in a tech world and you're building stuff, it's like you always wind up jumping back in that project. Because I like have things that I thought about years ago that I'll kind of like hash in, you know what I mean, now and say, oh, I was gonna do this. Let me work on this and pull up something that's like 5 to 10 years old. But you just happen to be in a time where it's easier to do it, than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. That part is now a lot easier. There's so much
Hmm.
technology now and tools. I think it's so easy now that it's overwhelming and
Yeah,
chaotic and sometimes distracting. Like you don't even know where to start because I got too many options there.
yeah.
We actually have a person here in the chat. He said he thinks we might actually be related here.
Really?
He's also an Aquarius.
Astrologically related, huh?
Yeah.
But I'm actually not an Aquarius, though. I'd be like, I hate to disappoint people when they're like, because
Oh wait,
I'm
are you
all,
an Aquarius?
I'm a Scorpio, you're right. But I'm always meeting people who are Aquarius. It's so weird. It's like I be at, especially when I'm at the airport. When you go and you buy something to eat and they take your name, and then I'm like Aquarius, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm an Aquarius," it's each and every time. I swear to God, every time I have to get somebody my name in public, they happen to be an Aquarius. So it just strikes up a whole conversation. Even I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was going through TSA, and they had my name from my passport and stuff, right? From Clear. So it was like Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. And it just start talking. It's so funny. I was like, wow, is this something really magical about Aquarius?
Yeah, interesting. I'm a Leo, so I don't know about any other signs but my own.
My Leo trait is
Oh, I'm a Leo. Like, oh, okay, what month that is? Oh, okay.
my sister's a Leo. Yeah, my sister's a Leo. And it's funny because when I was young and I knew very little about astrology, I'm talking about when I was little, I would hear people talk about she's a Leo. Like, and I'm trying to figure out, was that like some kind of special sauce or something? And then when I got older, I realized, I was like, oh, yeah, you definitely were a Leo. Okay. Because people would remember her, but me, I would be kind of like that social, shy, dark, gloomy Scorpio.
Yeah. I actually think I'm my rising sign. I think it's a term. I have to look back at
Hmm.
the articles. I think my rising sign is a Scorpio.
Uh,
Is ironic.
yeah, I oftentimes when you're gonna attract some people with some Leo characteristics. I'm gonna attract people who got Scorpio characteristics. So normally, people around me, they either have a Scorpio moon or a Scorpio rising. or they're Scorpio, But when they have Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising, then those are people that I'm usually pretty close with.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're ready to talk about it. Cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrencies. I'm always fascinated about this topic because I really don't know much, and I know that I'm missing an entire web gap right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just one of those things like I'm just gonna miss it until I fully understand it. But when we think about cryptocurrencies, they're revolutionizing the way we think about financial inclusion and empowerment, especially for marginalized communities,
Right.
my black and brown communities out there. And as traditional financial systems often exclude those without access to capital or resources, cryptocurrencies offer a decentralized alternative to foster economic participation.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we'll unpack how these digital assets are designed to create opportunities for greater equality and financial freedom. So, I have to ask when we're thinking about cryptocurrency, what are the core principles of cryptocurrencies and how do they differ from traditional finance systems? We heard a lot about a lot of companies. I think it was like a year or two ago. You had like I think they call them the bricks, I believe. Like how a lot of them was pretty much doing away with the U.S. dollar.
Well, that's an organization that's in the formation now. I don't think nobody really knows how far along they are, but the whole idea is, the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. So if you travel around the world, you can pretty much use the dollar anywhere you go. It's going to be accepted, for goods, services, or whatever. You're not going to go anywhere where you can't use a dollar. But what they're trying to do is change that. So they're definitely trying to do away with the dollar as a reserve world currency, and make it very difficult for it to be accepted. You know what I mean? So if you bring an allegiance of countries together and they make an agreement that we're going to create this digital currency, and this is the currency that we're going to accept for our goods, especially like our big goods like gas, oil, the big things, then you kind of squeeze the dollar out, but it from the outside reduces the value. So from the inside, you got other issues that can affect the value, but now you're affecting the value from the outside because the rest of the world is not valuing it. They're all coming together and saying that we're going to shift our value to something else, which is what I try to do with guap. With guap, I'm saying we can do the same thing. We can come together and shift our value to something else, just like bricks can. So I oftentimes use bricks as an example to why we should have our own currency, just because we can. And it's kind of like banking on social capital. You know what I mean? So, because I think that when it comes to social capital, I think we're extremely wealthy, but our social capital is still tied up in the currencies of in the dollar. So it makes it that, yes, it gets us a lot of attention, but we don't get as much value out of it as we should. And being our social capital is so great, we can literally take and invest our social capital in our own capital system. So, and it's not to say that people won't use it, but they'll have to engage with us on our terms in order to use it. That's why people create their own currencies. So, and if you have so much to back it with, because people ask, well, what do you back it with? Well, you back it with your social capital. You know what I mean? Like, you got things that you have been one of the greatest contributors to mankind. So that means that you can take your social capital anywhere and it be valuable. And that's why big influencers and big entertainers, they no longer have to pay $1 to get in anything or to get something. They could show up. They get invited places because their social capital is big, is huge. So the internet was the first place, and social media was the first place to show us the dynamics of social capital, because social capital on the internet became followers, and friends. And if you had more followers and you had more friends, then you became very valuable in the social sphere. And we all know that the social sphere is not going anywhere, it's just evolving. So that concept of value is definitely going to evolve along with it. And I know I didn't talk about crypto, but because I got on the subject of the bricks, but where really what the concept of crypto, I back in the days I used to have to describe it in real kindergarten terms. I used to talk about Chuck E. Cheese and its coins. You know what I mean? So remember, you take your kids or you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you trade in your money for these coins so you'll be able to use the services. You know what I mean? So cryptocurrency cryptocurrency is the same, in that, you're going to be divesting from another currency into a currency by trading in your coins. But what really makes cryptocurrency different is it gives you an opportunity to have a decentralized financial system. That means that it's a financial system that's not connected to your government, not connected to a corporation. There isn't a middleman that's sitting there manipulating the terms of how this cryptocurrency interacts or is used, right? What is supposed to be able to dictate the terms is the community itself. So the community is supposed to be able to come together and vote and decide the dynamics of this cryptocurrency. Like, for instance, something like inflation. Maybe your crypto has gotten to the point where you got too many out in circulation and you need to reduce the circulation to bring down inflation, right? Normally in a financial society, who gets to determine that? The Federal Reserve or whomever, you know what I mean? But in a cryptocurrency with a community, the community gets to determine that. We all get to come together and vote whether or not we're going to reduce the supply or we're going to increase the supply, etc. And that is what, is lending to this whole idea of being decentralized. Did we leave you? Did I lose you? Oh, you did.
I'm sorry. Just me doing production mode, like trying to get some good shots here. This is me doing a double take. If I can get it. But editing for sure. Perfect. Let me move Gizmo around.
You took the gizmo out. You took the gizmo. Gizmo's dancing.
Yeah. Who asked?
Usually when I'm not the one speaking and I have guests, I'll usually just be the camera girl and I just get all the angles. But right now it's just me and Gizmo.
And to my audience, Gizmo is over there. Gizmo is the cameraman.
These are my mans. It was like Chris said, like, yeah, that's her mans. You know what? I won't be surprised. Trust me, it is coming, especially in the sex industry. We're gonna be having our own robots.
Oh yeah, our own
At this
NPCs.
point, I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad at it too. I'm waiting for the day I can have my own NPC to talk to.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna call him Richard. 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 I just need a massage. Just talk to me nicely. Trust me, I'm waiting for those days. Okay, cool. So let me ask this here. So I guess the main question, right, is like the difference. Like, what's the like for someone who's completely new to crypto, trying to understand what is crypto, what is it, and like how does it differ from like what we used to at the U.S. dollar?
Well, it's digital currency, right? And it is built on top of blockchain technology. I think that's the big part that people don't understand what blockchain is, right? So, blockchain is like, think about it like this. We have what's called open source software now, and you're familiar with that, right? So, open source software is like pretty much software that's been put out there so people can build on and make it better, and it make use of different libraries and code and stuff like that. And that's exactly what blockchain is. Like, blockchain has these different libraries and different code that all come together and make this secure system that tracks, really is just a what do you call it, a ledger, a digital ledger. So that's really what it is. It's a ledger of all the transaction activity that takes place on this blockchain, right? And The first blockchain or crypto, of course, is what everybody talks about was Bitcoin. And that really wasn't the first. I think that's the first that you know of. There were other blockchain types of systems that were created up into Bitcoin that were experimented with, up into Bitcoin. But Bitcoin took it to a new level. It was born, I guess you could say, back in like 2009, and what was called a white paper was released. And what white papers in tech are, just documents that explain the technology, et cetera, kind of introduce the technology to the world. And back then, Bitcoin was introduced to the world. And how it was created was through a process called mining, right? So back then, you used to be able to use your computer and download the wallet and download the software, and you used to be able to mine Bitcoin, right? And what it is of course, you're not really mining Bitcoin. It's software that is doing the mining for you on your computer. And Bitcoin and cryptos, they have what's called a reward. So if your computer participates in the process because it's necessary in order to keep the chain going along, then your computer would win a reward, almost like win a lottery, right? It's called the block reward. So earlier back then, you used to be able to get like a whole Bitcoin because there was hardly no one there. But as time goes on, the difficulty, what we call it, increases. So it becomes more difficult to get a reward, or it becomes more difficult to add a block to a chain. So that's why the value started to kind of increase, because it became more difficult. When it actually got a value is the whole Bitcoin pizza story. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's when someone actually accepted Bitcoin for a good. They accepted for pizza, and I think it was around 20,000 Bitcoins. So Bitcoin right now is at about 90,000 per coin. So if you multiply 90,000 per coin times 21,000 coins, you could imagine how wealthy that person would have been. But unfortunately, he does not have those Bitcoins anymore. He didn't have those Bitcoin. He got rid of them a long time ago. So, but he gets to travel talking about, he's the Bitcoin pizza dude, you know? So that was the first. And then after crypto became exchanges, right? Because now you have all this crypto circulating, you need to have a way to get it, and not just by mining. Everybody didn't want to mine, right? So now you have exchanges, because you have ways and things that you could exchange for the Bitcoin, even including money. One of the biggest exchanges, I guess around the first and biggest, was an exchange called Mt. Gox. And Mt. Gox got hacked. But back then, a lot of exchanges would get hacked, and it would be an inside job, because these are people, anybody could start an exchange. And mind you, an exchange was like a bank. Imagine you just being able to get up and start your own bank with no law. No, you didn't have to get money transfer licenses. You didn't have to get a background check. You didn't have to register with FinCEN. You could just start an exchange, and you got money, millions of dollars going across your exchange. So that's how it was back in the early days. And Mt. Gox was like that. And one day it was hacked, and they're still paying the people back that lost their money on Mt. Gox, which, by the way. And then there was another institute that was real famous in the crypto world, and that was called the Silk Road, because the Silk Road was really responsible for boosting the price of Bitcoin, because it was like an illegal website. I don't know if you know, like back in the days, like Pirate Bay and stuff like that. It was a website where they sold everything from drugs to people. Everything on the black market was sold on this on here, and the way that people would buy things was through Bitcoin, and then later on, maybe other crypto. And that's where Bitcoin got its bad reputation from. Back then, people who were the establishment were saying, oh, crypto is for criminals. Bitcoin is for criminals, because it was being used on the streets, and it was being used on Silk Road. Um, Ultimately, where it got its legitimacy is right around, maybe, I guess, well, first and before that, one more big part of Bitcoin is when they begin to fork it. So when you fork a crypto, that's how you create a new crypto. So pretty much Bitcoin had crypto babies, which we began to call altcoins, right? They had Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Doge eventually came along. I know a lot of people are talking about Doge. And then we had all these, then we, yeah, and then we had Ethereum, which really changed the game because Ethereum became more than just a blockchain. It was more like an operating system. It could do so much more than all the other cryptos. It can create other cryptos on it. It does smart contracts, so it was really revolutionary now in terms of what it could do. And that's when the altcoin explosion came. So people started going on Ethereum and they started creating altcoins left and right. So it got to be a point where there were thousands of coins now out there, right? And that's really, I think, what brought even more attention and legitimacy to crypto, all of these coins, because these new coins became like marketing tools. You know what I mean? Like more marketing would get out there because they'll be promoting their crypto, and you couldn't get their crypto without getting Bitcoin first, because that's how you got into the market. You'd have to have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin shot up in price because people were trying to get to these altcoins, you know? And right around 2017 was the big, explosion and spike. It went up to about $20,000, $30,000 a coin. So everybody started talking about it all over the news, all over the mainstream. And by the end of the year, it crashed back down to about 3,000, 2,000. And the reason that it crashed is because all of those people who bought those altcoins, they cashed out. You know what I mean? They were cashing out like crazy, you know? So, everybody was cashing out. The people who accumulated a bunch of Bitcoin began to cash out, became millionaires and whatever off of the money they accumulated during the ICO craze, is what we called it. And then that began the next phase of crypto. So crypto had a lot of evolutions, and you may have gotten caught up in one of the evolutions, but you may not have stayed around to know the whole shebang. You know what I mean? Because it came really about money and kind of like the volatility and kind of gambling in the crypto world.
So I'm gonna take a quick break here. So we got some people joining us here on Fanbase. There. We also had a question, but before I ask the question, let me give me a chance to reset here.
Absolutely.
Hi, friends. I'm Marlena on Fanbase, and I go by Boss Leo IO in the Metaverse. What you're seeing here in the watch party is me and my special guest, Aquarius Maximus. We're talking about building digital wealth with cryptocurrencies, and this is a weekly mastermind series where we talk about all things Web3 XR, breaking it down to the most simplest concepts and theories for those who are new to the space. This week it's all about cryptocurrency since that's been trending lately, right on time since the elections, and Bitcoin, and really breaking down what that means and understanding the business application of that. We are live. What you're seeing now on your watch party screen is me in one of my worlds that I built, the Diamond Suite. You should be able to see it in the link in bio, but I'm just going to come off mute here and just say that the website you want to visit is horizon.meta.com. That's Horizon, HORIZON .meta.com. If someone can put that in the chat, that's great. Because when I talk in the chat, I think the video stops. But if you go to horizon.meta, you do not need a virtual headset to join us live right now in avatar form. You can join both on your mobile phone or on your PC.
Rahom, I'm doing an interview. Rahom!
Watch the party there. I will come off mute sometimes just to continue the conversation. If you have questions, definitely put in the chat, and I'll ask that live here in avatar form. But we are live here in the Metaverse. Make sure if someone can put that in the chat.
The people watching me streaming just heard me yell. I put y'all on mute. and told my was yelling at my son to be quiet and on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are live streaming on this on YouTube, and it's gonna be a lot to edit for sure there as well. But I have fun. This is what I like about the metaverse. Like I built this entire space here, and to be able to have amazing people like yourself on the show is amazing. We got Moby Maximus. Be like, look, if we're not Aquarius, my name is Maximus, so we're related somehow.
Hey, hey, hey.
You're like, we're gonna be related, okay? He is determined there. Thank you, Zarian. I appreciate that. Go to horizon.meta.com, at me, bossleo.io, and you should be able to join. You should be able to see my profile in the world that we're in to join from us. Just make sure you're muted because you will get removed if you're disturbing the peace here. All right, there. Yeah, this is my avatar, Joyce. Thank you for joining. Let me do some shout outs. So, shout out to Mogi Maximus, who came directly from fan base, and he came directly here to the metaverse. We got Zarian, or Zarian, I hope I'm saying your name right. We got Joyce. Thanks for joining. Oh, we got two Joyce out here. Okay, Joyce Marie, and then I can't see the other Joyce name. Thanks for joining here. Definitely give it a try. This is why we're here with the metaverse. We want to show people how you can easily just get into this space, just like how I am, have a vision, build a building, and now I'm having a live podcast as a 3D avatar. Okay, so definitely check that out. If you have questions, put that in the chat there. Now, if I remember the question correctly, okay, my fan base people, I'm going to go on mute there, but I'm going to ask your question, Moby. The question there, he said, "Can we mine guap coin?" And I'm away from my seat. He
You
said, "Can we mine guap coin? Guap coin."
Guap coin is a POS coin that is proof of stake. Sorry. So we don't mine, we stake. We do have validators, and we actually have two chains, by the way. We have what's called a layer one and a layer two. Our layer one was our oldest chain, and it mainly just deals with transactions. We have a layer two that's like Ethereum that does smart contracts and stuff like that. And our layer one has something called master nodes where you can stake guap and earn guap. And our layer two has validators where you can become a validator, and your validator can validate transactions and you can earn guap. So we've been green since the early days. It's interesting because when I first built guap, I talked to people and it was like, oh, you should make it proof of work, which is staking. I mean, which is mining, what he's talking about. And I was kind of like, I can't get commitment from people to mine. You have to have commitment from people to mine, or you're just not going to go anywhere, right? And it's true. It's like couldn't get, initially we started out like the first portion of it mining and couldn't get a good commitment with it. So we wound up, forking it over and becoming proof of stake, which is more greener, and it's a low power algorithm, so you can run the nodes and IoT devices one day. That was one of our visions. So you just think about one day your refrigerator staking for you and paying your power bill or something like that, you know what I mean? Or all the devices in your house are staking crypto. You can't do that with proof of work too well anyway. Proof of work uses a lot of power, and I think that it doesn't democratize accessibility to everybody, because most of the people now who are mining, like mining Bitcoin or have mining operations, they're very wealthy. You know what I mean? And it takes a sizable commitment to do that. Originally, Bitcoin was created, and it was supposed to be created and operated in a way where everybody can mine with just your computer. But that changed. And once that changed, it kind of priced a lot of people out from being able to, kind of like fully benefit from the institution of mining. However, in staking, anybody can get into staking and make earn coins that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that answered your question there, Moby. We have a few more topics that I know you can't stay on for too long, so we'll just keep it rolling to the next one. Here, now my can find my browser. Okay, here it is. Perfect. So that's cryptocurrency there. Thanks for breaking that down there. And there's a lot happening in that space in terms of like cryptocurrency, but most importantly, just the opportunities that's there as well. So we're in the metaverse and gaming space, and with the rise of both of these industries, they have unique opportunities for integrating cryptocurrencies like Wapcoin into digital economies. I talked about that earlier before we started the show. These tools are enabling creators to build sustainable, financially empowered communities in ways that were unimaginable just a few years ago. So let's explore more of how creators are leveraging crypto to foster engagement and drive economic growth within the digital ecosystems. And if you're probably like me, when you hear anything about cryptocurrency and communities, the first word that may come into mind now is NFT projects.
Oh
And
yeah.
now we're hearing the same term is membership communities there as well when we think about
Ma,
like how do we leverage communities. I mean, how do we leverage crypto for digital communities there? So, what is your initial take on that? You know, when you saw NFTs, like at one point it was like booming, like the biggest projects out there were NFT projects, especially on Ethereum. To it was like, okay, this is dead. No community, no utility, and now with the rise again, are we seeing a comeback for NFT projects?
Well, you're seeing where NFTs, I think, are going to make their biggest impact. It's going to make their biggest impact, of course, on what you own, ownership, and also identity. Those things that are coming out now are like, I guess you'd say, more of the real world use cases versus just the purely digital world use cases. I mean, even in the digital world, we know that gaming is $1 billion industry, right? People are buying, they buy more assets in gaming than almost anywhere. And NFTs goes really well with that because it is your ownership is attached to it and kind of is going to follow you around the digital world. So one day you're going to have a wallet that is going to be full of your offline assets, but it's also going to have your digital assets on that you're using online as well. So it's gaining more of its usage. And those things, the value has yet to be established and seen because we haven't fully played those scenarios out yet. But we played the old scenarios, which is more of the volatility, the gambling, and stuff like that. But you have to be very weary of the crypto world in that case because there's a lot of manipulation in games that goes on. You know what I mean? In the beginning of the NFT world, and what really sparked it is the sales of certain NFTs for extraordinary amounts of money, and that was likely due to manipulation. Those are likely. I mean, if you can get two rich guys together and one of them can sell an NFT for a tremendous amount of money or get it backed or funded by somebody. And that news hits the airwaves. So people are super excited. They're like, oh my God, an NFT sold for $10 million. But they don't really know the dynamics behind it and what happened. So in that case, I tell people don't trust any of that. That's just not likely, wasn't as generic and organic as you thought it was, especially like there was been communities and people, at one point they were selling, bulk NFTs and stuff like that, and started whole communities around them. And then they started to fail because they failed to really bring it real world value to their community. So it was like coin first, community next. when it's supposed to be community first, coin kind of thing, or an NFT. Now don't get me wrong, there are some communities that are really focused on making an impact, like World of Women. That's a women's NFT project. It's still going on. And they use a lot of their stuff impactfully and globally to impact women and stuff like that. But then, you had the Board Apes Club and all the other stuff. And like I said, they did so many things to market, like give their NFTs to celebrities, which of course was going to bring a lot of attention to it. So, people not realizing that, how we always look at things after the fact and we just think it was like easy or organic. Oh, I can do that too. Not failing to realize that in this world, there's a lot of people that have been floating their own money around and starting projects and repeating it, kind of like rinse and repeat projects. And then there's also a lot of market manipulation, market making, and all this other stuff that happens here. So much of it is not what you think it is.
Yeah, I do remember when I was hearing about NFT projects. Like everything, what you first, what you said there about utility and community is really important. But I know that a lot of projects where they failed at is that they really didn't offer real utility to their community, and some of them, like Discord, was dead, and they had a failed project. But now you have like an NFT. It's like, what is this? I'm paying all this money for a project, and like, where? Well, I guess that was one of my questions. It's like, you want me to pay for some art, like, what am I gonna do with this art other than trade it or something? Like, I don't
The,
really get the
the,
value of that.
the problem is that you got communities that don't know how to be communities. You know what I mean? Too. They expect you to kind of like lead them and do everything, which we're moving away from. And really, the whole point of decentralization is for the community to pick the ball up and run. You know what I mean? So the communities really have to jump in and add more of themselves to add more value to the project. And it's not the project adds value to the community; it's the community adds value to the project. And there's a lot of people, they were not aware of that or not aware of that. They're looking for the coin to go up in value when they're not adding any value. You know what I mean? When they're not adding any value, and that type of thing. So, you got to do a lot of educating. So a lot of people get into this and they're like, oh, I'm gonna start my own crypto, and then they see how hard it is. Because the bulk of it is going to be educating your community and trying to get them galvanized and riled up to do something. So that's been the hardest thing for us at Guap. We've had our down moments, we've had our up moments. Currently, we're in a bit of a down going up moment. And because, you got people, again, that are really focused on the price per se, rather than focusing on let's build this community out fully. What does this community need? We need merchants, we need education, we need educators, we need all of these things where some people are not willing to do it unless the value is up where Bitcoin is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds really, really interesting. I guess the type of community that you have
Mm-hmm.
that is actually investing in that. That's some really good insight there
Yeah.
in
People.
crypto. And that's the other thing too. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, people don't understand that some of the most valuable crypto can be the new cryptos, and then can be the lower value cryptos, because you have an opportunity to build those up from the ground up, and you're being a part of that. So you stand to value more than jumping on a project like Bitcoin per se, where you're only going to buy a few satoshis or whatever the case may be. And they're feeding you this thing that satoshis are gonna one day be $1 per satoshi. But you have to understand that this is going in tandem with the dollar. So if the dollar is losing value, then you can't keep this currency tethered to the dollar. It has to it has to eventually work independent of the dollar, because it's kind of counterproductive. But they have brought something in that they feel solves that problem, and those are called stable coins. So they feel that the existence of stable coins that are coins that are mapped to a certain asset, dollar for dollar. So whether it's mapped to the dollar or mapped to gold or whatever, they have these stable coins that they feel will keep the currency relevant. But there's a lot of debate on that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think you started to hit on the one question I was going to ask you. I know, like, even when the NFTs were like just booming there, the little guys, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
everyday person like me, like I want to start an NFT project, but I'm competing with those that are quickly like launching projects and really big there and stuff. So how could someone leverage like cryptocurrency to start up an NFT project in community if they don't know
Build your
about it?
community first.
Okay.
Build your community. You can build, a lot of times what people do is they build a community, they build a hype, and they talk about the coming of a project, is the coming of a NFT. An NFT drop is maybe coming way down the line in a roadmap. But right now we're building a community, you know? So you like I said, you really want to focus on building the community first.
Okay, we had it there. Build your community first, like build your network there. And I think that's really important too. And that's why I think like current organizations, even creators in this space, you know, like when you have like a following already, that people are already buying your product, they supporting you. And I just think like just like with the metaverse, it's an add on. Like,
It's
hey,
a,
here's a
yeah,
project to support.
it's a perfect opportunity. I don't understand how more influencers are not launching their own project because they have the community. You know what I mean? But again, I think that there's a lot of big people that are afraid because there've been so many scams and they've been misled and all that other stuff. So they're afraid to kind of get in. They think they're going to get in trouble. They don't understand the difference between decentralized and centralized. They don't understand what the laws are, which there are barely any regulations. And that was about to be a free for all with the new president, because he literally has his own coin and planning on take he's literally planning on taking his organization and running the government organization that's going to be over crypto. And it's a crypto organization. Like, it's so much, it's about to be the wild wild west again, basically. If he still ain't make it to what do you call it, inauguration yet. But if he makes it past inauguration, it's going to be the wild wild western crypto. And it's not because people know what they're doing. In essence, they really don't know what they're doing. They're new to this. They're as new as people off the street, and a lot of them are being misled. That they're like there's the same group of crypto guys, crypto bros, that go around trying to sell people on crypto but misleading them and taking them down the wrong road, and people are just happy to run down the wrong road. And I see that getting ready to happen with the government. So if that happens with the government, then it's going to be another wild wild west, which means that weak regulations, lots of scam projects, lots of scams, all of that kind of comes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it goes to the number one thing, guys. Before you start investing in anything and follow the hype, because if you haven't learned your lesson from the last hype train, is do your research.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
do your
Do your
research.
research. If anything, you can join something that you research, you identify with, and you're a part of the community. Because when you're a part of the community, let's say the founding team falls apart, guess who's supposed to take it over? The community. It's not supposed to be just a dead project. People think, well, the founder and people they've left. Okay, you pick it up and keep it going because it's supposed to be for the community. Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, nobody know who they are. They left too. You know what I mean? But that's not what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about the team. It's not supposed to be about the founder. It's supposed to be about the community. And you have to be willing to be that committed. If you're not willing to be that committed, then don't do it.
So, along those lines, there, when we think about like leveraging cryptocurrencies, what are like some of the best practices and recommendations that you give to those both creators, influencers, and even businesses wanting to adopt it? Matter of fact, um, was it Microsoft or it was a company recently? I think recent as last week they had it on a table if not they wanted to invest in Bitcoin. I think it was Microsoft.
Hmm.
I remember seeing
Yeah,
their
there's a lot of companies that are doing it because Bitcoin has its what do you call it now? Um, geez, I'm at a loss for words. But the ETFs, exchange traded funds. So now you can literally put into an investment, which is not really owning Bitcoin, but put into like just a shares of ownership or whatever that you don't even manage that are being managed by these, big funds and all this other stuff. So because it's been institutionalized like that, now you have people like, oh, we can do this because they're taking the risk, number one, off of owning crypto because there's very little regulations, right? And if these regulated companies are taking on the risk and saying, "Hey, you don't have to buy Bitcoin, but you can get in this ETF," then they're willing to do it, and even whole corporations will do it. So that's why it's really not a big thing to be excited about because, as I see it, you have these companies like BlackRock, right, that are buying up supplies and stuff like that, and that's going to give them a lot of power because crypto is supposed to be decentralized, but it can't fight the power of the absorption that way. Where if the absorption is going even higher than the people are, then what you'll have is one day these companies can come together and make a vote to do something like fork the crypto. And if they fork it, they can decide that the new crypto is going to have these rules. You know what I mean? So whereas Bitcoin may not have had those rules before because it belonged to the community, if we gain enough power, because we're heavily invested, we could turn around and fork it, and we can decide these are going to be the new rules of the crypto. You know what I mean? So
That's the part that makes me nervous, especially when it comes to the government wanting to
yeah.
play into like crypto.
Hmm.
It's like, are you really doing crypto for the community as open source, or you're just trying to dictate everything and
No,
monopolize?
I fully believe that where this is moving to is the whole concept of, you own nothing. That's what people are talking about on the internet. You own nothing. And they own a lot. They own everything that you no longer own, you know. So it gives crypto a very nefarious turn, you know. But I still think it's time, and the only way to fight it is to start other projects, other platforms that are well rounded in these things that these other platforms are planning, like universal income, like identity. Like this is a project that I'm working on now. There needs to be other platforms that are doing that, but so people have an alternative. You know what I mean? So they don't get caught up and trapped in some dystopian vision of somebody else that now has the lion's share of the market.
Yeah, definitely monopoly and capitalism.
Yeah,
That's where I really
capitalism.
see all this is going. Is that whether crypto get adopted or not is really once the big dogs feel like they have like control
Yeah.
over the market
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And so when you have little people like us, like that's like, hey, I can even start my own crypto. I think that's the other thing I'm worried about as well. That kind of like pushed me back from investing crypto is like I don't know the future. Like all of this sounds great. You can probably get a quick dollar or two from investing in projects, but what who's to stop the government for saying like, all right, going forward, none of these cryptocurrencies matter, or it's this
Well, that's where you got to get educated. You can get armed
yeah.
with education because there's certain things that they can't do. And there's certain things that they can do. The way that crypto was created was almost like how viruses are created, because a virus, that when it's decentralized, it can spread like a virus. That means it's all over the world. There are nodes everywhere, and they can't stop it. You know what I mean? And that's really where the power is. The power is in decentralization, of how they can stop it. Because once these nodes get in the hands of everybody, there's not a lot they can do. However, before it gets popularized like that, when there's still less than 10% of the whole world involved, there's still a lot they can do. you know. So it's really up to the masses and how active they get in it. It's just like AI is not going anywhere. So if you don't get involved, you're going to be absorbed, and then if you're absorbed, then you're going to be absorbed by people who get to set the trend on what everything is going to be. But if you get involved, then you can, put your input into it, and you need to put your input into it, and so you won't be erased, you know. So we have all of these things. The biggest threat is erasure and absorption. Absorption and erasure. That is the biggest threat. Even with crypto, whether it was with crypto or whether it was with AI, that is the biggest threat to us. So we have to participate in some way, even if it's creating our own AIs, our own models, or stuff like that, or even if it's creating our own cryptos and stuff like that. That is the only way we can fight back.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, let me ask you this now. So, going back to that question there, besides like really understanding the market, doing your research, what are like some of those best practices that we can do now, and what is Blockcoin doing to generate wealth amongst this community?
Well, first and foremost, one of the best practices is get a little bit educated, of course. Open your ears a little wider. You know what I mean? Don't just go for the hype. That's the best practice. Don't be motivated by hype. Don't wait for hype. Be motivated by knowledge and education and community and those types of things, right? And the other best practices is find out ways where it could be put to use, because guess what? Not even Bitcoin has started be really putting it to use how it could be put to use. There's still a whole big open world out there and market that is not using crypto to its fullest, you know? So start figuring out ways where it could be used. And when that problem is solved, and it's not really a problem because this is money, this is a crypto. When that problem is solved, then you would have accomplished a major feat, you know? And then what we're doing is what I'm doing, because I'm tech, is I'm building ecosystem. I stick to building the software that can accommodate community, right? Because there's so much I can do, but that's something that I can do, you know. But that goes for anyone. When you get involved, there's something you can do, you know, whether you're in marketing, whether you work for business development, whether you're in money, you're in finance, all of these different things, they have pathways in which crypto can be put to use and guap coin can be put to use. So you got to get a little bit innovative. You got to get a little bit risky. I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, I traded my camper in for another camper, right? And there was still a balance. And I was like, I started talking to him. I talked to him about guap coin, and I was able to pay for the balance with guap coin. You know what I mean? So I kind of thought of that as and I paid for things with guap before, but I thought of that as my Bitcoin pizza moment, you know? So now I'm able to convince somebody just by telling them what it could be used for to take this for value. And that was only a beginning. And then we have I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine who was an early adopter of guap coin. And it was through his guap coin that he was able to, maybe about 2 years ago, he was able to buy all of his other crypto and portfolio. So he had some guap coins sitting somewhere. It was about 2 years ago. It accumulated to about the value was about 3,500 USD. And I'm telling you, from guap coin, that was like a penny, and it accumulated that much. And he was like, I'll never forget that. He was like, because I bought other crypto, I was able to pay some bills and all this other stuff, yada yada yada, you know. So it just falls on everybody. You never know what way it could affect you and what way you can affect it, you know. And you don't have to get in with a whole lot. I always tell people to get in with staking. Why? Because what staking does is gives you your own coins. It's like once you buy into staking or you get enough so that you can stake, you're earning coins every day, and those coins are going to accumulate, you know. So it ultimately is going to accumulate to a number that could potentially buy you a lot of things just off of the number of crypto that you're sitting on. So there's so many different things. There are a lot of things that they don't teach people. And one of the things I'm most proud of with Guap is that we brought more people like in our community into crypto like that, and we brought them into staking. You know, about 65 to 70% of the people on our chain staking are women, you know, whereas most women don't know anything about staking outside of whatever. And how we got people into staking is that normally you have to build your own nodes and stuff like that, but we built them for them. You know what I mean? Like we built each and every node for them. So, and like I said, we have our problems and stuff like that. But that's why I've dedicated what I have to serving any problems down the line, or as insurance, a hedge, as an insurance for people who may have had problem with your wallet. Okay, I built your node, your node broke down. Here's what I've saved for you. Because at the end of the day, my goal is just to get this out here. My name is already written in the history books. I don't need to be wealthy. You know what I mean? So if I have to put in an insurance to make sure everything works properly and make sure everybody gets their fair share, that's what I'm here to do.
And let's talk a little bit more about Guapcom. Obviously, we have maintained,
Mhm.
maintained in the building. Thanks for coming through there. And you're here because you founded your own cryptocurrency, Guap Coin there. So let's hear a little bit more about Guap Coin, some of its utility and benefits, and some things you've been able to do on Guap Coin.
Ooh, what I've been able to do a lot. I've definitely been able to do a lot.
You
Um,
know what? Before
mhm.
you even dive into that, we have to tell us about the founder experience of building your own cryptocurrency. And for me, I think that's probably a challenge in itself.
It is. It's not for the weak-hearted. It's not. It's not for the weak-hearted. I've had my share of tears. I guess it had to be for a woman because we gotta cry. I don't know if it was gonna be too many men that was gonna do this that was gonna cry. I gotta cry. I gotta cry at least once a month.
Moby, Maximus, well, you are Maximus, you cried too.
Yeah, I gotta cry at least once a month. But because just one of the things I've learned a couple of things about blockchain. I learned that some people think that they respond to the volatility of the markets and stuff like that. Well, I think the markets respond to the volatility of people. you know so I looked at like when people are really crazy out there in the world and some really crazy things are going on, then the chain starts going crazy. Even guap coin would go crazy. I would run through issues, that I had to technical issues and stuff like that I have to run and jump to on a dime. And then I'm currently right now getting ready to launch a new version of the wallet, which I built a new version of the wallet. And it's not easy, like it's not like you get up there 1 2 3 4, I got a wallet. No, you run into obstacles and be like, okay, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna come back to it later. Let me drink some coffee, or let me go take a nap, and I'm gonna come back to this problem later. And that's how my days and my nights are, constantly returning to problems and fixing it, and then kind of launching it. So but on one half I could look back and I say, damn, I did a lot of work. And if it's anything to say for somebody that's put in for work, I put in for work. I put in a lot of work.
And did you did it by yourself
I
or?
did. Okay, so initially it started me by myself. I built my first chain. Okay, so first I built Guap on Ethereum, which was just a token, but it was always my goal for us to have our own chain. So I said, okay, it's time for me to jump on and try to figure out this chain thing, building our own chain. So my first chain was proof of work. Like I said, that was mining, and that chain died at the 9,999 block. It didn't make it to 10,000 blocks before it died. So that was an issue that used to happen back in the days when you build a chain, is that you don't know if it's going to come to a block and then it's going to, ain't going to do nothing else. So you just kind of pray, you make it past these blocks and these blocks, and it just keeps going and going. But so I ran into that. So people were already on that chain. So I had to fork that, get them on a new chain that was working. And at that point, I started working with a couple of people. It was more like people in a not really the dark web, but kind of like the dark web, the Discord. So I was introduced to people who knew how to build chains on the Discord. So I'm working with them on the Discord. I barely know these people, but I felt it because what I felt good about it was like, they were like, we're going to show you, but you're going to build it. We're not going to do anything but show you. You know what I mean? So they showed me what I needed to know, and I built that, and then just kind of got it off again, and it was going. And then later on, about another year, I was able to hire a team. At that point, the community is supposed to step in, but we didn't have a lot of people who knew blockchain back then, much as less as in the community. So I had to hire a team. So I had to hire a full-time team I was paying for years. Like I still use them from time to time. And but now, I've gotten to the point where there's a lot more I can do, and I have to rely less on them. So I'm just kind of doing it and, just bootstrapping it. So, but it's been tough. It's been some tough moments. But some of the things that have kept me going is sometimes I'll go speak at an event. Like I spoke at a couple of events, and at the end of the event, there will always be some old man that will come up to me and tell me, never stop, don't give up. And it would be like just the weirdest, creepiest thing. You know what I mean? Almost like God is coming up to you after everything. And they would always tell me the same thing. They would say, don't give up. And I wouldn't give up. I just keep on going. So it's been a lot of spiritual experiences, physical experiences, all different kinds of things that my book would probably be 1,000 pages long if I go through the whole journey I've had with Guapcoin.
We need that book for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite sure that if everything goes well, despite the presidency that we have coming up, I'm quite sure there's going to be more women inspired to start their own cryptocurrency and build their digital ecosystems. And we need more Black women also at the table building that. So definitely, I'm going to be that voice.
Yay. Me too. I love it. I love it. I really am. I'm actually building tools now to make it easier for people to build their own cryptos and stuff like that. That's my goal. So I'm working on a couple of things now.
So let's talk about the exciting part. So we've been through the trenches, a lot of them, to build the
Mm.
cryptocurrency. But now, since finding, Guap Coin, what has been some of the highlights, some of the things you've been able to do for the community and for women?
Oh wow. I think a lot of education, a lot of teaching. Like I said, a lot of people came through the crypto through me, because of the education. And I think that was a big part. I've definitely been able to help people. I always talk about the story of like one of our biggest investors. She is a customer service supervisor at Xfinity. And she started out with about maybe like 10 nodes or something like that. And she wound up accumulating probably, she has the most guap out of everybody, even me. I ran out of guap a long time ago. One time I had to buy, I know, like one time I had to get it because I use it for various different things. So I actually wound up going to her to buy guap. So this is like maybe pre-pandemic or something like that, right around that time. And she literally, the amount I bought back from her was maybe how much? 5 or 6 times the amount she spent getting in. You know what I mean? So it was like she made her money back, of course, and more. The original money that she put in getting her nodes. And now her nodes are still going, you know? So I was like, I love that. Because I love that someone else was able to sell me guap. You know what I mean? Because I needed it. And it shows you how much I value it, that I bought my own coin. Like literally, I don't hardly buy any crypto unless I have to use it because sometimes I have to buy Bitcoin to send to developers and stuff like that. But the fact that I buy my own crypto, like That's just phenomenal to me, you know? And that shows you how much I value it and how much I believe in it.
Women empowerment. I love that. I love that. So, as we're wrapping up here, tell us about your current or upcoming projects that you have coming up.
Ooh, where do I start? I know I'm gonna forget one. So I'm working on getting ready to launch another Twitter alternative, but mine is a little bit different. It focuses, and not only focuses on information and stuff, but it focuses on the voice and the vocals and conversations and stuff. So getting ready to launch that. I don't want to tell the name yet because I still haven't secured all of the things with the name. The name is so dope though, but we're getting ready to launch that. I'm launching in the middle of getting ready to launch Solve States, which is a pretty much one of those communities that are focused on bridging people together across borders via money, identity, etc. Building that framework that I'm talking about so that we can be able to work together on projects, post projects, create DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations where people come together and they do things like raise money, make decisions and stuff like that. They vote. So I'm building that platform out, and that's something that I've been working on for a while, but now has seemed to be the greatest time of need for it. You know, it's like something always comes around and like, okay, now it's time to really kick this off. So I'm working on that. And it's solvestates.com, SOVstates.com. I also have Solve Social, which is another social network I launched a year ago, which was more focused on people being able to freely express themselves, especially how the social networks are getting so, getting so whatever, giving you a place to feel comfortable to talk and be you and not be bullied, because that's really one of my biggest things on is to I mean, like anti-bullying, anti-trolling and stuff like that. And
Yeah, a lot of that is going on in
Ooh,
Metaverse.
got a bunch of AI platforms launching. About three of them. So we're doing
You
that.
also did the melanated
Melanated
AI.
AI, yes. Thank you. Yeah, and that's the kind of the umbrella of the work that we're doing in AI. I and it's interesting because I knew how important the work we were doing in AI was, especially for people of color. But it was today when I saw a video on 60 Minutes were interviewing some people from Kenya that are suing the Silicon Valley companies for like AI abuse, and which there's a reason, one of the reasons why we believe melanated AI is needed, because they are taking these people in Kenya and they're not really paying them anything to train their models, right? And they had to go through so much suffering. They had to train on extreme pornography, extreme, hedonism, death, murders, all of that. Like they got to sit there and watch that to train models, and they aren't even being paid, and their mental health is being affected. So drawing attention, because one of the things they said is like, wow, they think they can treat us like this because we're black. This is said in there. So I was like, that gave more meaning to the work that we're doing in melanated AI, because we eventually want to get our own models and train, because we want to include more of the diaspora, because you can maybe build, let's say you're into Gen AI and you want to generate a particular kind of culture or culturally different face, and it may be hard for you to do because there's not enough training, you know when we're not participating in these things, they get to craft a narrative, and it becomes a world of um, people imitate art rather than art imitating life, people. So whatever images that they put out are going to be the images that people are going to fashion themselves out of. So there may be whole groups of people that are wiped out of existence because of AI.
It's interesting. I don't know why when you said that, I just had the most random thought about a thing a year or two ago. how I think it was NASA or someone, they shipped like 1,000 sperm to the moon.
Mm.
And they had talked about that.
They're seeding the moon.
They're seeding the
They're
moon.
seeding the moon.
I think 1,000. They had 1,000 sperm there to the moon, and
Jeez.
we were talking about like I wonder what's all like what type of sperm do they have? Their ethnicity was included in this. That was so unrelated. I just literally just thought about that when you talked about wiping out. But that's really important. And what you're saying, that really shows why it's important for more people like us, black and brown, and those who do not identify as your typical
Tuppy.
European there,
Tuppy.
to understand. I like that. I understand.
No, no, sorry. I was talking to my son.
Yeah.
I was talking to my son. Asked him to plug this up before I fade out. Hey, plug this in, please.
Yeah, we need you.
You know how when you're on your device and it dies on you.
Yep, that does happen a lot there. Yes, melanated AI, you got it, Maximus.
Thank you.
He also asked a question here. Can we get Guapcoin on DeFi platforms?
You the reason why you can't yet is because we're on our own chain. So you'll find that when you go on DeFi platforms, like if you're going on like these dexes, decentralized exchanges, a lot of times they run on their own chain, and the tokens that you can trade for are the ones that run on the chain or are pegged to the chain. So they'll create these wrapped coins and tokens and stuff like that. So while we're currently working on wrapped tokens on our chain, that's what we're focused on. We got to build our own dexes, and then we have to have our own wrapped tokens. So what that means is you could have a wrapped Ethereum. So if you send Ethereum to our chain, then it's going to function as an Ethereum on our chain, and then you can send it all back off chain, and it'll be Ethereum again. So that's wrapped. So we have ecosystems to build before we go on anyone else's ecosystem. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. So they actually asked the question. So with Guapcoin, what can creators, especially now, those are in the metaverse and the gaming space, how can they leverage Guapcoin?
Well, the same way all of these other platforms are, because we have our own chain, we have smart contracts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So pretty soon, that's what people will be doing. But people get into these chains through one thing and one thing only, and that's money. That's how they come into these chains. They don't come into these chains like, oh wow, they have great NFTs or anything like that. They come because, oh my God, did you see the price of that went up to yada yada yada, and then here comes the whole bus, you know what I mean, of people. They don't come there because, oh wow, we can build this, but in the meantime, we are setting up the foundation so that people can build, and then we got to educate